Hey guys, what's up? It's Murmaider here at the Sorrow Eternal headquarters, here with Hell 22.
It's starting to look more like a lounge in here than a headquarters.
Yeah, I know, we got food everywhere and TV's blaring, even though it's on mute. Uh, anyways, so we got some interesting topics to talk about today, some of our past reviews that we have written. Let's get started with Hell 22. You wrote a review for Animals as Leaders.
I did write a review for Animals as Leaders. Now, some of you might have heard this band before. I think you probably have. Instrumental progressive metal, I guess is the best way to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
Their self-titled album, I actually think you were the one who got me to listen to their self-titled album the first time.
Yeah.
And it was definitely an interesting album to listen to. And I remember listening to the first album and kind of going, well, it's really good. The guy's obviously, crazy on the guitar. But some of the songs were just disjointed. They just didn't make all that much sense. And it's really hard to have a cohesive song of that nature when you don't have a vocalist to tie it all together. Well, they fixed that problem. And their new album is called Weightless. And I was actually pretty impressed with the fact that a lot of instrumental bands try to use the guitar to replace a vocalist. This album is so strong, guitars and drums, that you don't even need a vocalist. They don't try to pretend that the guitar is one. They don't try to pretend that they, could have one.
Right.
It's just forget there is such a thing called vocals. Mm-hmm. We're just going to rock out and kick your ass in the process. One thing I noticed is that they added a healthy dose of electronic elements. We've talked about this with like Promises Lie and Nova and bands like that who add it, but it doesn't really work.
Right.
This works. They put little electronic bits, some little noise stuff in there, and it helps to build the tracks into kind of this rolling boil. But I was really impressed with the album, and I think that this one is better than the last, and I hope that everyone who liked the last one will go out and get this one, because I think they'll enjoy it immensely.
This is their second album?
Their second album, yep.
My cousin, Tyler, the creator, he saw them live when he went to go see... he was... Actually, Dredge opened, I think. It was them, and then Dredge, and it was for some gay band. Circa
Survive.
Yeah,
terrible-ass band.
But, yeah, he said they're amazing live. Watching the guitarist just go cracking at it,
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's a great guitar player, and I definitely would like to see them live at some point.
Yeah.
Now, Murmaider, on the flip side, you had a couple reviews this week. First of which, we'll go for Lethian Dreams.
Yep. Lethian Dreams is a great atmospheric doom metal band. They're from France. It's definitely something right down your alley. You would love this group. The lead singer is this female, Carleen Van Roos, also known as Kieranla. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but her vocals are just amazing throughout the album. The only issue that I had with it is that they added a lot of effects to her vocals throughout the album, and it works to a point with the reverb and the extra delay on it, kind of like the girl from Trees to Eternity. How they did things like that with Swallow the Sun, some of the songs that she was on. It's like it adds that haunting, eerie effect, but they just used the effects throughout the whole album, and it kind of, I felt like after a while, it kind of took away from her voice, because you can tell she definitely has an amazing voice. But I mean, musically, the music is dark and heavy at the same time. There's a couple parts that would jump into double bass and heavy distorted guitars, but then go right back down to quiet bass and piano. I mean, overall, they even had some acoustic parts to it that really changed things up throughout the album. I really liked it. But
that's definitely sounds like something I'd be into. I know I checked it out after you mentioned it, and from what I got through so far, it's great. It's absolutely great. This seems to be the way a lot of doom is going now. Because we did a review for the band Omit, who, same thing. It's the female-fronted melodic doom.
Yep. And then later, I feel like at first a lot of the tracks are shorter, 4 minutes long, which usually, I don't know, doom I'm used to more of the
10, 11-minute tracks.
Yeah. So at first I was, looking for those tracks and wasn't seeing any, but eventually if you go throughout the whole album, you'll later run into a couple. For example, Under Her Wing, Mournful Whispers. That song runs a little over 8 minutes. And that one and Elusive, I think, was the other one. Those two are towards the end of the album, and that's like perfect doom right there. And they even had some growling towards the end too, which they didn't really introduce in the beginning. So definitely check it out. I think you'd like it. Now another one that you did was the new album from Isole.
Yeah, you and I both like this band. Mm-hmm. We've listened to them before, but as we were discussing, before we started doing this podcast tonight, is that they're fine. It was never a band that was a revelation for us. That changed as soon as I hit play on this album.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit of a trick, because when the album starts, the first song is called The Lake, and I swore I was listening to Marilyn Manson's version of Sweet Dreams. The guitar riff sounded similar, and I kind of went like, what the fuck is going on? All of a sudden, that's over. And the thing that I want to point out about this album more than anything are the vocals. This dude, Daniel Brintz, I believe. I'm going to go with that pronunciation. You can shoot me later.
Okay.
This dude is amazing. His voice is like everything you could imagine and more. Almost operatic. His range is crazy. There's just such power behind his voice. And when you're taking, it's not all like this down-tempo doom that we've come to expect from them, where, as we mentioned, it's really slow and it's a really down-tempo and down-tuned. It's not all like that. There's some sped-up parts, there's some good solos, the guitar work is really tight, but his voice over the top is just so incredible. I couldn't get over the fact that it was like an opera singer over doom. Like, it blew me away. And then you throw in a lot of like deep guttural growls, and it just plays off each other so perfectly. One track in particular that I was really fond of was Come to Me, which is, it starts off with this traditional doom style, but it's just so emotional when he delivers it. And this is one that if you're a fan of doom music, this is one you're really going to like. The song right after that's called My Angel, and that's 10 minutes, typical doom length, and it's just everything that you could ever want from doom. It's really, I was blown away by this album. I really, as I said to you before, I think this is my Doom album of the year. And considering how many great Doom albums there have been, and there always are, that says a lot. And I think that this one, when you see a Doom album called Born from Shadows, it just has that dark feel to it. And goddamn, man, they just knocked it out of the park.
I'm really surprised, with your descriptions that, I haven't listened to the album yet, but like you said, it's so different than their old stuff.
His voice just gained so much power, and they just took this to the next level. This isn't the same old Doom, and that's, I think, the best part is that it kind of makes you rethink what Doom is. It's not going to reinvent the genre, but maybe we can look for something more.
Yeah. How long would you say they've been around for?
This is their third major label album.
Okay.
And I think they had two before that. So they've been around. The last album was 2009. Before that was, I think, early 2008. So they've probably only been around 6-7 years total.
So they're still in that period of experimenting with different sounds
and changing styles. And growing. And you think if this album is this good now, as they
Imagine
grow, they could. This could be amazing.
It kind of makes me think back to old Catatonia versus new Catatonia, and the vocals there, how it used to be more screaming and growling.
Yep.
And then
and it evolved.
That's completely switched to clean singing altogether now.
Yep. And I think that's where they can find their niche. They're doing something that I've never heard a Doom album like this before. I'm sure there have been Doom albums like this, but I haven't heard it.
Huh.
So definitely one to check out. Now, Murmaider, your other review this week was from a band from the UK, Sacrilegious Throne.
Yep. They are actually only a two-man band.
No shit.
Yeah. And it's interesting. They combine black metal and death metal in their music. It's very dark, very evil. But now this is just an EP that I reviewed. It's called Acts of Apostasy, and it's only 4 tracks long. But I'll tell you right now, the 4 tracks alone give you so much that it practically feels like it was just an album itself. The songs aren't long. They're not. Some of them are like 4 minutes. Like 2 of them are 4 minutes long. The other 2 are like 6 minutes long. So overall, about 20 minutes you're looking at. But listening to the albums, the third track, spreading the swarm was the name of the third track. That's like my favorite song on there, and it's just got some really heavy chugging like throughout the entire album with double bass going, and the cool thing about it is that they layer it with black metal growling. And like
nice.
Black metal, like screaming, like that, like kind of screechy, wicked vocals, and I really liked it. It was a really powerful track. But overall, like I'm curious. I never heard of the band before. I'm really curious where they're gonna go after this EP, if they're setting up for a new album soon. But I would definitely check it out. It's like I said, a mixture of black and death metal. So.
Well, when I was reading your review for it, I noticed that the song "Spreading the Swarm," you said it starts out with a swarming bee sound effects and a man yelling. It's just like this dude's getting stung up by a swarm of bees.
Yeah.
That's fucking great.
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, see, that's definitely one I'll have to listen to. I'm not as into the black metal sound as you are, but
Yeah.
I can appreciate some good black metal.
Yeah. Oh, and when I say it's black metal, a lot of times you think, okay, so the real rough raw recordings, but it wasn't really the case in this time. It was pretty well recorded, well produced. I mean, some of the drumming was set, still kept its rawness, I guess, where you could still tell, like it was they didn't do too much to it, but the guitars and everything, it came out pretty clear. But it sounds great, and it works for them, like I said, it's not completely black metal anyway, so
yeah,
it's a little bit of everything.
Seems to be that the raw recording of black metal has kind of gone by the wayside. All these new bands are kind of saying like we don't necessarily want to do that.
Yeah.
Same thing. We just had the interview with Atlas from Asfagor,
Yeah.
and he said the same thing, that there's no need to have shitty recording just because you want to do black metal.
Right.
So that's obviously a shift in the way things are getting done.
Yeah. Well, now the other one that you did this past week, the other review was Dark Haze was the band?
Now this is a band I just kind of fell into really, and they're listed in all their bios as a melodic death metal band. They're from Beijing, China. Ooh. And Chinese death metal is something that I'm completely new to. But what struck me is that use of the term melodic death metal, because they are not that at all. No. I don't even know what to call them really, but it's more like thrash with melodic vocals. And that's what I thought was so interesting to it, is that it starts out, and obviously the guitars are absolutely crazy. Great guitar work, great drum work. The recording's really solid considering they are unsigned. Some really good guitar work, but then there's some like black metal screaming, there's some growling, and then all of a sudden there's these really good clean vocals that come in. Really diverse song structure. And I was just really impressed with it. It's only an EP. It's only a couple songs on there, but still, it's just... I don't know how melodic death metal ever came into play.
Well, what kind of vocals are you talking? Like, for the clean vocals, is it like power metal vocals?
No, not quite power metal, just kind of clean singing.
Okay. Yeah.
It's definitely not power metal. We're not talking like the operatic...
Cement right now.
Yeah, no, not like that. Not quite that, but, if they had thrown that in there, they would have hit, every possible vocal style there is. But, some great... I think what amazed me the most is that, the typical thrash, talking about like a Slayer or an Anthrax, you have solos in there, but it's like some of these songs take like a power metal guitar solo and put it in the middle of a thrash track. So like, you're thrashing ahead, you're definitely swinging your hair around, and all of a sudden you're climbing scales. And it's just it's such a crazy combination.
Yeah.
It almost didn't make sense to me the first time, and as I went back through it again, it just, I don't have anything bad to say about it. I would like to hear a full-length album by these guys. Obviously there is that language barrier sometimes. I feel like I don't understand the lyrics, and I definitely don't know what the album title actually means, because it's, in symbols. But Dark Haze, check them out on their MySpace. It's not even on American MySpace. It's MySpace China. Huh. So that's, get on board.
Yeah, when I saw the symbols in your review there, I was like,
don't know what that means. And I tried, Google Translate, which is obviously not a very good translator.
Yeah.
And, I think it told me it was something about a cookie, but I doubt that's right. So, Dark Haze, Lethian Dreams, Isole, Sacrilegious Throne, Animals as Leaders. Just another great week.
Yeah.
Next week's shaping up to be a little different. Got a not so good review to start next week, but I'll hold off on that one.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, you guys have to read that later.